let's start with the sources of transient. The main sources of overvoltage on utility systems is first capacitor switching. Here we are talking about power capacitors which are used for reactive power compensation, power factor improvement. Lightning, ferroresonance and other causes like line energizing or different contactors and power electronics, other things. But these are the, especially these two are the main sources of transient overvoltage. Let's see one by one the sources of transient. First, capacitor switching. So this is the most common switching event which is observed on the utility system. As you are aware, capacitors are used to provide the reactive power to improve the power factor, which reduces the losses and improves the voltage. So it's a common to use capacitors in the utility as well as at the customer side. So just observe this diagram. This is the generating station. From there it comes to substation. From there a cable is there, and then it is going to another substation or a customer, and then there is a capacitor to improve the power factor, and this is the monitor location. If we connect our fluke analyzer here, and then we can put it in a transient mode, and it can capture whenever a transient comes. So whenever a capacitor is going to be switched on, because as load increases the reactive power is demanded, and depending upon that the capacitors will be switched on. So the moment this capacitor is switched on, our monitor location is going to observe a short period transient. So this is the example of a transient which is generated by a capacitor. So it can generate a transient between 1 to 2 pu. So as high as double the voltage it can generate. So in this figure, x-axis time in millisecond, on y-axis percentage volts. So this is the 100% voltage. This is the normal voltage which was there on the system. And the moment a capacitor is switched on, as you are aware, capacitor acts as a dead short circuit initially, and it will take a charging current, and the moment its voltage is equal to capacity voltage of the system, the charging will stop. But during starting, as it acts as a very short circuit, very high current, inrush current flows into that, and it causes this kind of transients. And in this particular case, the transient voltage has gone up to 134%. Next important source of transient is a lightning. So it's a natural phenomena. Earlier one is a man-made phenomena, capacitor switching, but this one is a natural phenomena, lightning, and this is the one of the important source of the impulsive transient. So this particular diagram shows the places where a transient can occur due to lightning, because these points are exposed to the lightning phenomena. So factory premises at the top, or the at the secondary ground, at the secondary phase if it is a overhead, or it on a distribution system. So there are many locations where a lightning stroke can occur, and it may cause the impulsive transients which can be conducted into the load facilities. By the way, transient is a conducted phenomenon. So transient occurs when lightning strikes on either phase wires. Similarly, transients can occur when lightning current flow through the ground wires. In earlier diagram we saw that transient or the lightning can occur at any place. It can be on a phase wires, or it can be on a grounding wires. So wherever is there, it may create a transient. A direct strike to a phase conductor generally causes a line flashover near to the strike point, because lightning stroke contains very high voltage and it causes a flashover. And not only this phenomena will generate an impulsive transient, but due to flashover there can be a voltage sag, and ultimately there could be interruption. So you can see that always for this kind of phenomena, impulse will come first, or impulsive transient will come first, then voltage sag, and then interruption. So three power quality phenomena are happening here. Always starts with impulsive transient, then voltage sag and interruption. Not necessarily that voltage sag interruption will occur, but if it is a direct strike, there is a possibility of flashover, and flashover is there. That's why there could be triggering of the circuit breaker in the substation. Then voltage sag and interruption is going to occur. It's not necessary that lightning has to occur on a direct line, or it has to strike a conductor. Lightning may simply strike near the line and induce an impulse by the collapse in the electric field. So here you can imagine how a transformer works. Whenever there is a changes in the primary side voltage and the current, then it creates a magnetic field which is a variable magnetic field, and due to up and down that magnetic field, the secondary voltage is induced. So same phenomena is occurring here. Lightning you can consider as a primary winding, then there is a air which can be a core, and then there is a our facility which can be a secondary. So it just like a transformer, whenever there is a changes in the primary side, the same is reflected onto the secondary side. So this can also occur, that not necessarily that lightning strike has to occur on the conductor. Near the line also it occurs by transformer action. It can come to the line, and from line it can come to the customer premises. Lightning may also simply strike the ground near a facility, causing the local ground reference to rise considerably. This may force currents along with the grounded conductors into the remote ground, possibly passing near sensitive load operators, and this causes another power quality problems. Now what happens when lightning stroke currents entering the ground system? So it raises the potential of the local ground above the other grounds in the vicinity of by several kilovolts, because lightning strike has a large voltage capacity, and sensitive electronic equipment that are connected between two ground references. There are many equipments which are having two grounds, such as a computer. So computer is getting supply from one supply which is grounded in a different manner, while the same computer is also connected to modem through the telephone, and which is grounded in a different phenomena. So a single equipment computer has two ground references. In normal condition, two ground references are almost same and nothing happens, but in this kind of phenomena it may happen that one ground reference will go high and other is less, and this will cause the failure. They induce high voltage in the phase conductors as they pass through the cables on the way to a better ground. Then the third source of transient is ferroresonance. Again here also the name itself tells it is something related to resonance and something related to ferrous. So iron core and some resonance is going to occur. This is how you can remember. That's why I am trying to tell you this. The term ferroresonance referred to a special kind of resonance that involves capacitance and iron core inductance. So that's why as iron core inductance is coming into picture, a ferrous material, and that's why it is ferro. And capacitance and inductance, XL and XC, they will cancel each other, then a resonance occurs. That's why ferro resonance. The most common condition in which it causes disturbance is when the magnetizing impedance of a transformer, which is iron core inductance, is placed in series with a capacitor. So C and L, they are opposite in nature electrically, they will try to cancel each other. And at a particular point XL becomes XC, the total impedance becomes zero, and a resonance. Resonance means increasing something, amplification. Ferroresonance most commonly occurs when unloaded transformers become isolated on underground cable of a certain range of length. So it's not very common that ferroresonance will always occur, but for a particular set of conditions, here you can see that a transformer which has to be unloaded is become isolated. It is disconnected from the other system and it is connected to a cable, underground cable of certain range of length. As you are aware, cable, all the cables has capacitance due to its insulation material and the conductor into it, and so and the capacitance also depends upon the length. So this particular combination has to come together, and then only this resonance occurs. which causes a transients. So this is a typical example of ferroresonance voltage setting into a stable operating point after an initial transient. So you can see this kind of things is happening and then in coming normal. So this is a typical. So you can see that every transient has its own characteristic waveform. So by looking at waveform also one should be able to tell what kind of resonance, sorry, what kind of transients it is happening, what kind of source it must be. There are certain indicators of ferroresonance. First is a audible noise. The noise is caused by the magnetostriction of the steel, where because our iron steel is magnetized in a different due to AC waveform, so it goes from one side to another side. Then that's why there is a physical movement, and that is called as a magnetostriction. The steel core, and it drives that into saturation. Please note this is a different than normal humming. The normal humming is there, and then humming due to magnetostriction due to ferroresonance is there. One can distinct it in a different way by the looking at the noise. Next is a overheating. Normally transformer overheat often accompanies ferroresonance. So if your transformer is getting overheated, one of the reason could be a ferroresonance. Due to core saturation, the magnetic flux will find its way into parts of transformer where the flux is not expected, such as the tank wall and other metallic parts. And as these metallic parts and tank wall get some magnetic flux, a current will flow into it. Stray flux hitting is often evidence from the charring or bubbling of the paint on the top of the tank. So whenever there is a post-mortem of a transformer failure, then this kind of telltale signs are there. If charring is there or is there is bubbling of the paint, then you can backtrack it to that there must be some stray flux which causes eddy current loss, and due to that the heating is there and these kind of things are happening. So this kind of way you can find out what is the failure reason also. Few more indicators of the resonance are high over voltages and surge arrestor failure and flicker. So ferroresonance will not only cause the transient but other problems as well, like flicker. And lastly, other switching transients. So those are normally line energizing transients. Any electrical circuit has RLC, and whenever there is a switching is going to occur, it will try to establish a new phenomena, and new RLC combination will come, and that's what is called line energization transient. Occurs when a switch is closed connecting a line to the power system. So earlier power system was operating with particular RLC values, and you have added one more system to it, so RLC gets changed. The transients are a result of combination of traveling wave effects, which you must have learned in power system, and the interaction of line capacitance and the system equivalent source inductance. And line energizing transients usually die out in about zero point 0.5 cycles. So in half cycle normally they go. Of course, one or more reason of other switching transients is single line to ground fault. So this is a typical waveform of single line to ground fault, and here you can see over voltage transients due to fault current interruption accompanied by oscillation.